10 years ago, Kate and I embarked on a journey that has changed our lives. We were only supposed to be living on the road for a year, and 10 years later, we still find ourselves traveling out of campers. Now today, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the lessons that we've learned over those 10 years and some things that we want to share with you.
What better place to share our lessons from the road than at a beautiful Harvest Host, where it all started 10 years ago.
Harvest Host was actually the very first night we spent on the road when we were full-timing. We left Los Angeles, California, went north, and spent a few nights at this gorgeous winery. It's this perfect memory because we showed up, they parked us right along the vineyard, had this great wine tasting, got a bottle of wine, and just sat down and enjoyed it with our dogs at the time. And I remember thinking to myself, man, if every day of RV life could be like this, it'd be perfect. And of course, that's not the case. Some days are good, some days not so good.
And as the title of this video says, shift happens, and you just have to roll with it.
Yeah, change really is the only constant that we've experienced over our 10 years of RVing. As many of you who have followed us through this journey have noticed, we went from a Class A to a Class B to a truck camper. We've tested all sorts of other types of rigs and trailers and things. And then as we're traveling, we find some new way of traveling that we want to try. For example, when we wanted to do overlanding, we got our truck and flatbed camper so we could overland that we couldn't do in our previous Class B camper van. It's just, things are always changing, at least for us. When we first started RVing, my mom was still working full time. When she retired and she had more time during COVID, we took her on the road for an entire summer. And that's not something we could have ever contemplated when we first started RVing.
In looking back at our very first camper, it was perfect for that stage of our life. We had 2 big dogs, we're moving out of a 3-bedroom home and taking all of that and putting it into a giant condo on wheels. People always ask us, what's the best camper? Well, the best camper really depends on you, your lifestyle, how many people are you traveling with, what's going on in your life. I mean, there's just so many things that can impact how you RV and what you RV in.
I remember when we were staging everything to go into our first RV, we hadn't sold our house yet. And the RV is sitting in our driveway, this big Class A. It's got these big bays down below and all this storage inside. And I have all this stuff lined up in the driveway that's going to go in. It's tools and jacks and this and that and everything. I remember like the night before we had to be out of the house once it closed, I still had stuff I was packing. I was literally packing things into every nook and cranny, and the few things that were left we either chucked, gave to friends, or sold. And looking back on it, it's just amazing that at the time we felt that we needed all of this stuff. And as Kate mentioned, there's no way at that point we could have gone into something like a Class B. For us to live out of full time, especially with 2 dogs and all this stuff, it would have been absolutely impossible. So the perfect rig for us then was a Class A motorhome. And just as our lives changed and other things changed and we learned to live with less, then we were able to make that transition down to a B. You know, I do a lot of coaching for prospective RV buyers, and when they call me and they're talking about the RV and things that they want, everybody wants to find that perfect RV. And I always tell people, you'll find the perfect RV for now, but in a year from now, things can be very different. You'll change the way you like to travel. You might start out going to campgrounds and find out you hate it, or vice versa. You might be boondocking and say, I hate boondocking, I want to be at a campground. And you'll change your travels based on that, and you may need to change your rig to accommodate those things. You don't have to wait for the perfect RV. Find one that meets most of your needs and has the compromises that you're willing to live with. But that said, you don't have to wait for the perfect time. Now is as great of a time as tomorrow to go RVing because you don't know what tomorrow brings. And when we've spoken to people who have been RVing for a long time, we ask them this one question, which is, what is one thing you wish you knew about RVing before you RV'd? And when the guests on our podcast answer that question, a lot of them say,
I I wish I had done it sooner.
Exactly. And I echo that statement. I don't know if we could have done it sooner, but if we were able to, absolutely.
I think the best way for me to reflect on that is I wish I had known about RVing sooner and what joy and like positive things that it could bring into my life.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about going full time and you're waiting for retirement and everything else, what's holding you back from just getting an RV and using it on your vacations and really starting to enjoy and get into that lifestyle to even find out if it's something that you want to do full time? We've met people who got into retirement, they went full time and said, you know what, this isn't what we expected, it's not for us. Unfortunately, we've also met people who waited until retirement and then they had health problems or other things and they weren't able to enjoy this lifestyle they had waited and saved for so long. So get out there now and do it.
And as you're planning RV life, you can always take a weekend, rent an RV, get your feet wet, see if it's what you expected, and get some experience before you plan out this, entire adventure down the road.
Yeah, can I just note, this is coming from two people who had never RV'd, we never rented an RV, and somehow we made the decision to quit our job, sell our house, and live out of an RV full time for a year. And it worked for us, but I think we got lucky.
And at the time, renting an RV wasn't as easy or readily available as it is today. A lot has changed in the last decade in terms of RVing and the resources, apps, and all the things that are available to RVers.
Yeah, I think the number one thing I've seen change is battery systems on RVs have just become phenomenal. When our first RV, we had 2 lead acid batteries and that was adequate. Wi-Fi, or the availability of things like Starlink and connectivity, and those 2 things for me in the RV lifestyle have really changed the game. The RVs themselves haven't really changed all that much, and some of the designs still look like they did 10 years ago.
One lesson that has really resonated with me, and another lesson shared by many guests on our podcast, is to slow down.
That first year we were going to spend on the road, our goal was to travel around the United States and find the next place we were going to settle down, get jobs and all that again. Well, a year sounds like a long time. And until you get on the road and you start traveling, you don't realize how big this country, the United States, is and how many things there are to see. We could spend a year in a single state and still not see it all. And what we've realized is you really have to slow down and enjoy the journey and be flexible. Being flexible is something that we learned early on, because you're driving through a town and you had no plans to stop there, but you get there and you're like, man, this is a nice place. They've got a brewery, they've got this, they've got that. I'd love to spend some time there. So why not? Find a place to boondock, find a campground, whatever it is, and settle down for a few days, a week, 10 days, a month, whatever it happens to be. And just go with the flow, because there is so much to enjoy out there. And I know people, especially when you have a limited amount of vacation, you just want to get there, do your thing, and then get home. Sometimes it's all about the journey. So take some time, slow down, relax, and you don't necessarily have to go as far as you think you do.
Going with the flow is very important, because shift happens. There have been a few instances where we're pulled over on the side of the road because we've broken down or something has happened. We just have to kind of take it one moment at a time and figure out what's next. It's all part of the journey.
There's going to be very few RVing trips where everything goes perfectly, and very few where everything goes wrong. It's going to be a mix of both, and you have to take both with a smile and just say, hey, this is the experience, we just got to go with it. Now, that's not to say that when we break down on the side of the road, I'm not stressed and 4-letter words aren't streaming out of my mouth, especially when I'm reaching my hand down into a hot engine bay to fix something. So it's okay to get frustrated. You'll get stressed. It's just you have to take that moment to just take it all in, accept it, and move forward. Well, now that we've talked your ear off, we're going to get back to enjoying this wonderful harvest host. But we would love to know down in the comments below, if you're an RVer, how long have you been doing it, and what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
One of the things we really enjoy about harvest hosts is meeting the hosts themselves and hearing their stories. Jeff just shared some fun, interesting stories about people that they've hosted at this property. But the sun is going down and I am getting tired. It's been a long travel day, so it is time to unwind and go to bed. And tomorrow I'll look forward to going for a nice walk down to the creek. A cool trick I learned with the Nespresso machine is if I double tap the brew button, it will make a concentrated brew, which is perfect for a latte, cappuccino, or I'm gonna make a cafe au lait. This lovely new machine is a espresso machine. But since I didn't pack any espresso grinds for this trip and I'm brewing the coffee or the espresso in the Nespresso machine, I'm using this run strictly to steam milk. That's the great thing about being part-time RVers now, is I get to pack for the trip and I have more room to bring the devices and gear that I want for what I'm in the mood for that weekend.
Yeah, there is no way we'd bring something like that when we were full-time, just because when you think about the fact that you're living out of a camper full-time, everything in here has a very defined purpose. And if you were to bring like that espresso machine along with you, what are you going to get rid of in order to fit that into your lifestyle? Because most likely everything in that camper, or all the space in that camper, is already spoken for. It really redefines need.
It's important to have PPE. This machine can be quite loud. Protect the ears. Tasty. So I made a decaf in the Nespresso, and then I steamed my milk in the espresso machine. I did have a frother for a little bit, but I found that the frother just didn't get the milk steamed the way I like it. It really just made it bubbly and hot. So having an actual steam wand makes a big difference. So I am willing to carry this big machine with me so I can have tasty cafe au laits and lattes. I'll put a link in the description for this machine if you want to check it out and see if it would fit your RV lifestyle. Pretty flowers.
Tall flowers.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's looking for a old school GMC motorhome. There's one here. I bet you'll get a great deal on it. I heard it ran when parked.
This is such a nice little oasis. What a beautiful property.
I don't know about you, but I love seeing all the different insects at work doing their thing this morning. It is absolutely gorgeous out here. But I just want to say it has been a wonderful 10 years, and I want to thank you for being part of that journey. Who knows, maybe it'll be another 10 year and we can do this all over again. But I've just found that RVing has so enriched our lives. I'm very happy we got into this lifestyle. If you're considering it, I would say sooner than later if you're able to. But that is the end of this video. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see what we've done over the last 10 years, head on over to our YouTube channel, We're the Russos, and you can see all the videos that we've done in all the different rigs over the years. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Bye. We'd like to thank Harvest Hosts for sponsoring this video. We've been using them throughout all 10 years that we've been RVing. As we mentioned earlier, our first night on the road was at a Harvest Host. Tonight is going to be at a Harvest Host, and we've stayed at a variety of different places throughout the years. We've stayed at museums, wineries, breweries, distilleries, farms like this one. The most unique one that I can remember was a decommissioned missile silo that the guy had turned into a little apartment/hotel. That was very cool. But there are over 9,000 locations that they have and all sorts of things across the country. Going to a Harvest Host for us is always a unique and fun experience that we cherish. If you'd like to learn more about Harvest Host, click on the link in the description below. They are currently running a 25% off promotion if you use code RUSSOS25 or just click that link down in the description.
This video is sponsored by Harvest Hosts.